Hello and welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Aussie writers and other creatives.
Hello, and I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and a content writer as well, and Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we're bringing you all kinds of tips, ideas, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
Hi Lynn, how are you going after another week of lockdown?
Oh, well, Rach, it seems like Groundhog Day, but I guess I must be used to it because we're all pretty good around here now. What about you?
Yes, I have been enjoying some beach walks. This morning I dragged the 6-year-old up a hill and made him look at a beautiful view over the headland.
I'm sure he appreciated that.
He didn't. We stood at the bottom of the hill and negotiated for quite a while. And in the end, I just said, "You're coming." And I just dragged him up there. But yeah, the things that you do to try and burn off steam with your kids before homeschooling starts, it's a whole new world, really. But part of trying to be as organised as possible, which brings me to today's guest. Fiona Campbell is a VA, a virtual assistant, and she's going to talk to us about all the nerdy things that I adore: productivity, automating processes, business automation, and how a VA can help free you up to do more productive work in your own business. So yes, I think we could both use a few tips in that regard, don't you think, Lynn?
I think so too. Now, I thought this would be a great idea. I've often thought about having a VA. I haven't got one, but and Fiona was suggested by a member of the Rachel's List Gold group on Facebook, and she's worked with some creatives. So Fiona Campbell is a Newcastle-based automation consultant. She's used her 13 years of experience providing executive assistant and business management services to CEOs, marketing directors, consultants, and small business owners to establish her company Thought Penny and the VA Lead Network. Thought Penny now supports a solid client base ranging from professional services to the creatives with an Australian team, and they're in New South Wales, Queensland, WA and Vic, of virtual assistants or VAs, business automation experts, graphic designers, website developers and copywriters. We thought Penny's VA team in high demand. The VA Lead Network was born to help business owners find Australian virtual assistants with the right skills and experience for their needs when the Thought Penny team isn't available. So Fiona finds cost and time efficiencies by streamlining, automating and delegating. How exciting.
I love those words.
She has extensive experience hiring, training and managing virtual teams and loves teaching business owners how to navigate the new world of remote workforces. Wow.
Oh, wow. Fiona, welcome to the Content Bite.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
It's great. Look, I have a VA myself at Rachel's List, so I know what a great asset it can be to a business, but also to a freelancer. And I guess we're going to delve a little bit more into that today. But how about we start with you talking about what a VA is exactly and the sort of tasks that they do? I know that that's how long is a piece of string question, but let's see how we go.
Yeah, so the way I like to sum it up to quickly understand it is if you think about in a typical office, all of the administrative roles, you've got your receptionist, you've got your marketing assistant, administrative assistant, executive assistant, personal assistant, anyone, office manager, all of those types of roles. Think about what they do for a business, and it can be done virtually. There are even some junior graphic designers who call themselves a virtual assistant to give themselves another avenue to find work. So really, it's work that can be done remotely. And the list can range from data entry to answering the phone, returning calls, following up payments, to a more complex project management, getting someone organized, doing software training, etc.
Wow, sounds wonderful. Do you think everyone needs a VA? When's a good time to get one?
So that's a great question. And the way I look at it is you're going to find more time. The sooner you get a VA, the better. But you shouldn't be getting a VA if you're sitting around in your business, you've done everything that you need to do and you've still got time to do sales and generate more business. When you're so busy that you're unable to do what you got into business for and to do the revenue generating tasks, that's when you'd be looking to get a VA. So you can predict that it's about to happen because you know you've got a few jobs on where you have to be delivering work, and in a few months' time, you know that you're going to be struggling to make sure that your invoices are getting paid and booking new appointments, etc. Plan ahead and start looking for a VA then. The other way I like to look at it in terms of when's a good time, how can you justify the cost of a VA when you know that you're capable of doing this work yourself, is the first thing that I outsourced, even when I was working with a team of VAs, the very first thing I outsourced for my own business, so I understand the struggle of letting go, is my cleaner. I had to convince my partner that this was a worthwhile cost as well because I'm working at home myself. But when you look at a cleaner, you are paying your cleaner hopefully less than what you're earning, getting a good cleaner. My cleaner works 4 hours a fortnight. Now, in the 4 hours that she's working, she's motivated. She's not going to take a break like I would and, oh, now I'm going to have a cup of tea before I go and do the next lot. For that full 4 hours, she is so efficient. She's motivated because she's getting paid. It's all she needs to do. There are no other distractions in my house for her. And I would say that what she does in 4 hours, it would probably take me 6 or 8 hours to do. And I only have to work for 2 hours in order to pay her to do those 4. So it's turned into giving me back 4 hours of my time, because remember, it would take me longer to do it than it would her. And it means that for those 4 hours, I can go and find new work, generate more leads. And best of all, I don't have to clean my house. I don't have to do the things that I don't enjoy doing. And a lot of business owners feel that way about the things that a VA would do. So while I know my cleaner loves cleaning my house, it's her jam, you're going to have VAs who love doing data entry, who love getting on the phone and following up payments, who can schedule social media posts for you. Think about the things you really don't enjoy doing and that anyone could do who has a passion for it. Those are the first things I'd be looking at getting a VA to do.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned just earlier about cost, and I thought I might just talk about that. What should you be paying a VA? Is there a range?
Yeah, great question. So when you're looking at Australian virtual assistants, you're going to be looking at a range of 25 to 35 an hour for that standard work, scheduling social media, data entry, task-based work. When you're looking for more of an office manager, project manager, executive assistant, someone who's really going to be managing you rather than the other way around, someone who you're going to give responsibility to rather than delegating tasks, you're looking between 35 and 75 an hour. It really depends on their experience and the skill level that you're after. If you're looking for a virtual assistant who is overseas, then you can be looking at around $9 an hour mark. But what I've found in that case is most of the time you're going to be going through an agency and you're going to have a minimum of 20 hours a week. Whereas an Australian VA, you could get them to do a one-off task for an hour. So that's the difference as well between having an employee who you'd have to have with 3-hour minimum shift, for example. Australian VAs you can have just for a one-off project or really minimal hours per week or per month, and you're only going to be charged for the time that they're working.
Okay, that's interesting. We had a copywriter on recently, Belinda Weaver. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she sort of operates overseas and in Australia at her business. But she was on the podcast recently and she was talking about looking for VAs that specialize in different areas like tech VAs who are specifically, technical. I suppose you'd know a lot about that with the whole business automation side of things, or VAs that might have specific data, digital marketing skills or research skills. Are you starting to see VAs niche in this way?
Most definitely. So the easiest niche to find is a VA that specializes in social media. That's very popular at the moment. But there is a drive in the VA industry to niche down in that skill set. And a lot of VAs are looking to the experience they have, a lot of them come from a corporate office background, and so they understand, they've got demonstrable experience in a certain niche and technology, and not just that, but industry wise as well. So in certain industries, you're generally going to use a lot of the same technology, and so they've got that technical skill set. But there are also some amazing VAs who are just tech savvy, and even if they haven't used the software that you're using now, you'll find that they're going to not only learn the software, but they'll know it better than you do, and they'll end up teaching you the best practice and most efficient ways of using it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love the idea of, because, sometimes when you see all these different systems and you wonder, which one is the best for me, maybe a VA can help you with that, choosing the right system.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's been my experience with our VA. She knows Google Docs. Like, I never used to even use Google Docs at all. And I'll go in and look at something she's done, and it's just beautiful. And it's got columns that are all color coded, and everything's sort of got, what is it? What do you call those things which add up things?
The formulas.
Yeah. You can tell I'm a writer, not a mathematician. But anyway, she'll do all of that sort of stuff. So it is really amazing getting someone who has those skills, I suppose, that you don't have.
And that's the other thing about VAs is most of the time you're not going to be their only client. So they're continuing to learn, because the more clients that they build to their portfolio, they're going to have exposure to how other virtual businesses and virtual teams operate. So they're constantly being able to share that experience and knowledge with their other clients as well. And guess what? This other team is doing this with Google Docs and collaborating this way, and I realize it's so much more efficient. Let's try this. And yeah, it's really exciting.
That makes sense. I think, that's basically what Rachel and I do with our clients. We, bring best practices from one client to another client that we like, or it's the same principle. Are there tasks that you shouldn't be paying a VA to do?
Definitely. So you've mentioned that I love business automation. And so you really need to look at how much you're paying your VA per hour, and with a task, how long does it take to do? So essentially, how long is it going to cost for your VA to do it? And then have a look at what are the options for automating that. For example, if you have a CRM and you want to make sure that every time you get a new lead, that contact is added to your, say, Google contacts, so they show up on your phone when they call you, that's not something that you should be getting your VA to do data entry of that. You could use something like Zapier to say, every time a contact ends up here, also add it to my phone contacts. So, if you're someone who doesn't answer a call when you don't recognize the number, this is going to help you make sure you don't miss out on a call from a lead, because that's going to be picked up. And then you think about all the other things that you would do repetitively. If there's a way to, and I can help provide a list of these things as well, if there's a way to automate it and it's more cost effective than getting your VA to do it, it's not just about the cost of software doing it automatically versus the cost of your VA doing it. It's also the opportunity cost, because as soon as you stop your VA doing it, they could be doing something that's a more high value task.
But what if you need a VA to set up those automations in the first place?
Sure. Well, there's no reason why that VA can't set it up for you. Or you could have one VA who's really tech savvy who sets it up for you, and then another VA who just does the day-to-day repetitive tasks that can't be automated. And if it's the same VA, great, because that means they can maintain it as well. But there's no reason. That's the great thing about a VA is they don't have the mindset of an employee. You don't have to make sure that you've got work for them. If you don't have enough work for your VA to do regular hours, you can just go looking for a VA who operate in a way that they're happy to have ad hoc work. Some VAs will want set hours. Some VAs will charge you at the end of the week or the end of the month for whatever hours they've done. Other VAs will ask for an upfront retainer and a commitment and say, I'm going to work on these set days and set hours, and I'll do an upfront retainer. You decide what works for your business before you go looking for the VA, and make sure that you're clear about what you want, so that you're not wasting your time and finding yourself engaged with a VA who has those set hours, and you think, oh no, it's not worth getting a VA because I don't have enough work to fill the hours. You've just paired up with the wrong VA for your business at that time.
Wow. What sort of mistakes do you continually see freelancers make when they're looking for a VA? Maybe it's that mismatch that you were talking about.
Definitely. So when you're looking at the hourly rates for VA as well, I mentioned that on the 25 to 35 an hour, you really are looking at VAs who you're delegating tasks to. You come up with the work. There's definitely going to be an element of initiative, but the responsibility is on you to train them on what they need to do and how you want it done. Whereas you could find a gun VA who is actually going to be really good at interviewing you, finding out what your processes are, and they'll be the ones to document your systems, your standard operating procedures, etc. So if you don't have those things in place, you need to make sure that you're finding a VA who has that experience putting systems in place for you and can work with minimal detail.
Great. We talked a little bit off air about finding a VA in Australia in particular, and you've mentioned you need to know what you need before you sort of start that process. So how do you go about finding a VA who might have a strength in research if you're a writer who wants to get the research side of things done, or someone who might take on those processes as you've talked about and help give you back some time in those areas? How do you find the right person?
Yeah. So what Thought Penny does as we're building our team is we actually put a CCAD together. But before we do that, we put together a position description, just like we would for an employee, of exactly what are the tasks that we want this person to be doing. And then we write the job ad to say, for someone who's going to accomplish these tasks, they need to have this type of experience. You can't jump ahead and do that straight away. You need to work out what they're actually going to be doing to be able to easily step back and say, someone with this experience could do these tasks, and make it easier to write that. But what we've put together, because we're constantly at capacity from word of mouth, we've developed the VA Lead Network. And the VA Lead Network is a membership for Australian virtual assistants. We share VA opportunities with them, and to make that as easy as possible for businesses as well, knowing how difficult it can be to put together that brief, we've put together a form that asks all those individual questions, not just about your tech stack, but it gets you thinking about what do you want your VAs to be doing right now, and what could they do in the future. And so we also provide an index of all of the things that a VA could possibly do for you, just to give you that inspiration, things that you might not have thought of. And so, yeah, I'll share that link with you for that VA role brief. And we share those opportunities for free with our network of Australian VAs.
Great.
Wow.
What if you do get a lot of VAs that you need to filter? Is there a way to kind of cut it down?
So we've automated everything to the max at Thought Penny for ourselves. But before we did that, some great things that I've picked up along the way working with virtual teams, in order of how we filter quickly. If you're putting a CCAD together, hide somewhere in there. Attention to detail is really important. So if you'd like to be considered for this role, please don't attach a cover letter. And I tell you what, that is just so refreshing to be able to go and look at all the applications and quickly say not suitable to everyone who's attached a cover letter. And I did a little test, and I've looked at some applications where they have attached a cover letter. And I think if I hadn't put that in there, I would have probably interviewed this person, because it looks impressive, but anyone could have helped them put their resume together, or they might have been working on this resume for 10 years, but that little lack of attention to detail, it's really important for the thought penny team. And so that's the first thing that gets them off. And then the next, if they make it to the next stage, then we have another little thing where we say, okay, so can you please send us an email here summarizing your experience, and please also mention blue banana in a sentence. And then we use our Gmail. We've automatically filtered the specific inbox that we receive all those applications. It tells us everyone who has blue banana in an attachment or in their email, and that's a really quick way to cull through the list.
It's fantastic.
And then also a form, so you could use SurveyMonkey or Google Forms or anything like that to ask questions that relate to the type of experience you want them to have. But pick one question which you think, this is really going to help me determine who's the best fit, and have all your results going into a spreadsheet so that you can look for that question, look down that column and just read. Don't read all their answers to everything. Pick that one secret question where you're reading just that answer, and you decide based on that answer, are you going to read the rest of them? And it's just really efficient to say, well, I'll just color code each row in my spreadsheet based on whether or not I want to keep reading the rest of their answers. So that's 3 things that has already culled down the list.
And that could be something about the sort of niche. It might be you want somebody who's financially astute, or it might be somebody who's got experience in your niche. Like, I work in interiors and buildings. So it could be somebody who has that sort of background, or what you can pick something related to, as you say, the task. So
tell me about your experience in this industry. Or if you're working in a situation where you come up with a difficult situation, difficult people, you can say, tell me, this is a example scenario, tell me how you would deal with it, and see the way they explain why they dealt with the situation the way they did as well. So it could be really simple or complex. And the reason I go with Seek as well is because typically we like to work with VAs who have that corporate experience, and anyone who's had office admin roles, that's typically where they go to look for work. So you are going to get administrative help from VA applications from people who aren't set up. They don't even have an ABN yet. But if they're tech savvy enough, that's not really going to stop them from being a great asset to your business. But there are definitely experienced, established VAs who are looking on there as well. It's just they know of Seek because of the type of background they have.
Yep. After you find your VA, how do you prepare for them? Should you set up a process before they begin? Do you set aside a Google sheet of all the tasks? How would you do that?
Yeah, sure. So what I like to get our clients to do is make sure they do have a list initially of anything they know they need help with. We set aside, depending on the complexity of the role, 2 to 3 hours. It's better to have more time than to be watching the clock, because as you start talking to your VA, you're going to come up with more and more things that they could help with, and you might find that you realize you need to provide more context about why you're doing things the way you are, not just the how to do things. So give yourself plenty of time. And then what we do with our clients, especially when they're struggling they know they need help, but they don't know exactly what we're going to do to help them, is to look at your calendar. So do a screen share, definitely. Go through your entire tech stack and explain, this is all of the technology that we use and why we use it, what it does, the functions of the business. But start with your calendar, look at the previous couple of weeks and the next month to come, and say, well, what did I do in the last couple of weeks that I think this VA could do? And then in the couple of weeks ahead, are there any meetings that you need to prepare for? Is there research they could do? Are there extra meetings that you need to have before a workshop session, etc.? Phone calls that you need to make to other stakeholders before a session? All of the prep work, anything that they can do for you there, and then go through your inbox. So inbox management is a big thing. If you're not all over inbox zero, I'm obsessed with inbox zero. That's something a VA can help you with. And I'm not just talking about going through and archiving emails and filing, etc., but they can help. Great VAs can also help you with a strategy to reduce the amount of emails that are coming to your inbox to start with. But a lot of people I find as well that are ready for a VA, even if you're already using task management software, definitely get task management software before you get a VA on. Highly recommend Asana, but I know a lot of creatives love monday.com as well visually. But whatever you use, make sure you've got something. You've got a way to keep track of all of the work that you've assigned to your VA, and for your VA to capture. If you're sending tasks via email or you're having regular calls with them, it gives them somewhere as well to put those in there, so that you don't need to remember everything you've delegated. You've got one spot to look at, so that you can say, have I prioritized everything? So we're on the same page. So going through your inbox, even when you have that task management software, a lot of small business owners still use their inbox as a bit of a to-do list. And that's going to help you identify not just how your VA can help with your inbox, but what are the type of emails that are coming in that your VA can help with the work, or they shouldn't go to you at all anymore, and you can start introducing your VA. So one of the things to prepare is also setting them up with an email account. Now, I'd recommend setting up an info at, or customer service or client support, a generic email, because you could have more than one VA using that inbox, and it means that it can still be personal. It can still display the name of your VA in their signature, etc. I just think it's really good long term. And things like accounts at, you can have a few different email addresses for them and use aliases, but that's definitely something to prepare, and then start changing where those emails are going so they don't even hit your inbox to start with. And then, so I've mentioned task management software, definitely have that in place. If the whole concept of putting that in place scares you, you can find a VA who's got experience setting that up for you, and they can get that going. But what I would do is still set up the account and give them access before they're ready to start, so that when you're doing that onboarding, they've got somewhere to capture all of the tasks that between the two of you, you're going to identify. And then I'd look at your goals for your business and your goals for yourself. So it's not just about moving your business forward. It can often be about getting that work-life balance back in place as well.
So specific to creative people, freelancers, journalists, copywriters, what are the kinds of things that they could, like they might be listening now and thinking, what could I get a VA to do for me? I mean, are there any tasks specific to those creatives that would benefit from a VA?
Yeah, sure. So whether it's a one-off VA services, a project such as setting you up with systems. So Lynn mentioned, I'd love a VA to come in and tell me of new tech that I haven't been introduced to before, and set them up for me, because that can be a time-consuming task. So you can have a VA just step in to do more hours in the beginning and set all that up, and then just be on hand when needed. And then I'd be looking at things like, it depends how busy you are. So if you're missing opportunities because that inbox is so busy and not all of your leads are getting responded to, that's definitely something I'd be getting your VA to look at. And they could just be spending 15 minutes every morning going through and making sure none of those have been missed, capturing them, putting them into a CRM. They could be doing research. So I guess if you really need to look at what is your high value work, what's generating income for your business, and work out what are the things that only you can do, and then what are the things that anyone could do. And it's really hard to know without a real example of the type of work that I know. Not all copywriters are doing the same type of work.
Yep.
And so research would be a big one.
Mhm.
And you can find someone who has experience working with authors and publishers and proofreading, for example, just that fresh set of eyes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Transcribing.
Yeah, definitely. Because even with the best transcription software, it needs another eye to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I know the inbox is something because, Rachel's all about the inbox zero. She's really fabulous. But I
I'm
have,
not.
what I was going to say, because I have at the moment, I think 22,000 emails in my inbox.
Oh my God. How do you do that?
Fiona's face. Oh my
No,
goodness, I know.
No. I do need the white space under my inbox if possible. Well,
Yes.
you must have had a lot of feedback from people that you've helped with VAs. And what are some of the benefits that you've seen in those clients who've employed a VA? What do people generally
Sure.
say about, obviously I should have done that 10 years ago, or
I guess they didn't realize just how much they were doing themselves. One of the biggest things they say is, I don't know how I was doing all of this myself. No wonder I'm feeling burnt out and overwhelmed and just anxious. So one client comes to mind who was doing, say, 20 projects across a whole year, and now he's doing 20 projects at once because all of the back and forth, a lot of scheduling involved in the type of work he was doing, and following up on deliverables from clients. So when you're waiting on things from clients, that's a big one, is keeping track of all the moving parts to accomplish this piece of work. What are all the things that we need to do? What are all the things I need from my client? And the status of those pieces. So a VA can take those and keep track of that for you. And without you even having to ask, your VA can step in, communicate, and make sure that you've got those by the time you've got scheduled in your calendar to work on that piece of work. They make sure that everything's ready for then. But I think it's just it's peace of mind and not having to be up after the kids have gone to bed to make sure that you're going to get paid for the work that you've done. It's really, the feedback is feeling like nothing's falling through the cracks anymore.
Yeah.
And
That makes
yeah.
sense. Mm.
absolutely. Oh, wow.
Wow. So one thing we do love,
I need another VA. I'm just like, my mind's ticking, the wheels are turning.
we're both thinking about all the clever things we could do with our businesses now, Fiona. So one thing we do love to ask guests on the show is about their favorite apps or tools. Now, you mentioned Asana. I haven't used Asana, but it does come up a lot.
I love Asana. It's great. Yeah.
And what are your favorite tools?
Gosh, where do I start? Okay. So definitely. So favorite task management is Asana by far. And the great thing about Asana is the free version is so powerful as well. While I can understand why a lot of other tools are used, I also know, say for Monday.com, for example, you can't have a recurring task. So you can't say this needs to appear every week and have the due date. So you can automate the task appearing, but you can't have it due every day or every week, etc. And just functionality wise, it's amazing and it's great value for money. And if you're struggling to use it, just give yourself a bit of training with lots of free resources. So the other tools that I love using for my CRM, I use Keep Pro. I actually Keep certified partners. So we do training and a lot of business automation through there. And Rachel's mentioned Zapier, and I love Zapier. Zapier just makes everything talk to each other. And I feel like Zapier is a member of my VA team. In fact, when we've got a different sides of the business, but there's one side of the business where when we get a sale there, I've got a Zapier. It's called Zapier Zombie in my Slack channel. It shows up and tells the entire team, time to celebrate. We caught a new one. And it's not just about doing VA tasks, it's helping to bring humor and build that culture. So I use Harvest for time tracking. I do recommend Toggle when it's just yourself, because you can go pretty far with the free version of Toggle. As soon as you start needing to pay, I'd recommend looking at Harvest. I know there are a million out there and I haven't explored absolutely all of them, but that works well for my business. And how I use Harvest, why I love Harvest as well, is we have monthly retainers, and it allows us to harvest resets at the beginning of every month. It can say, hey, you've used X number of hours out of your 20 hours for the month, and at the start of the next month it resets to 0. And then we use Google Data Studio to put together a dashboard for our clients. So it's free because I've got a Google Workspace, formerly G Suite account, and it integrates with Harvest, and it gives them a gauge of, hey, this is how many hours you've got on your VA retainer. This is how many hours you've used so far, how many hours are remaining. And it's customizable. So I can put text and say, here's a link to the folder with all of your meeting recordings with your VAs, etc. And you can hook that up with Google Analytics. It's really quite amazing. So
this is exciting.
Rachel's noting everything down.
I'm writing notes. Like a crazy person.
Well, Google is quite amazing because it's surprising how much you can do in Google Suite or as Google Workspace, because it's all free and most people have access to Google. Like most of my clients like working in the G Suite because it is probably the most accessible tool, isn't it?
And it's just great for collaborating as a team as well. It also integrates with so many other platforms. It's one of the most widely used. I definitely find it easier than Microsoft 365, but that's really a personal choice. And from there, so Asana, I've mentioned Keep Pro as my CRM. So it's not just my CRM, it really is the brain of most of our automations. So it gives you your CRM. It also has appointment booking, such as like you have with Calendly. It takes care of your broadcast emails like you would have with MailChimp. And it also does my automations. So as an example, it gives you your pipeline as well. So I mentioned a VA could make sure that you're capturing all of your opportunities from the inbox and putting them in your pipeline, keep track of where everyone is at each stage. As an example, in my business, I've got a request a quote form on my website.
Yep.
Whenever someone completes that form, it adds them to my CRM in Keep Pro. It creates an opportunity deal in my pipeline, in the right stage of the pipeline. It creates a task for me to give them a call, follow them up. It automatically emails them to say, hey, thanks for getting in touch. I'm going to look at this and get back to you ASAP. In the meantime, hey, click here, book an appointment with me. They book an appointment with me. It shows up on their contact card as well. And it's not just about, marketing automation and sales pipelines. It can also help with automating your business. So a great example of that is I have in Keep Pro an internal form. And when I fill out that form on a contact record, I've customized it. So it asks all the information I need to establish a new client. So their address, their ABN. I fill out that one form and automatically, without me doing anything else, it adds an invoice to Xero for approval. It creates a folder in Google Drive, their client folder. All the templates that we use, it creates a copy of those in their client folder. It sets the client up in Harvest, our time tracking, and a new project for the work. It creates a client channel in Slack for us all to talk about it. And I'm sure, also it adds tasks in Asana. Anything that can't be automated, I get it creating a task in Asana for the VAs that help me with my own VAs that help me with my business, with the instructions on what they need to do and due dates, etc.
Oh, my
hours
Lord.
of work right there.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that we love doing as well. And then I try with our Australian lead network, VA lead network, we are also providing training to Australian VAs to help them use software like that, so that they can build and maintain systems just like this. And VAs are great as well in terms of their attitude. They're not ever worried about putting themselves out of work if they know they're winning when they're effectively replacing themselves with automation, because there'll always be something else that they can do.
How fascinating. Oh my goodness. You know, we could talk to you all day, but
I know I need to stop. I've got another long list, but that'll take hours to go through.
Is there anything else that you'd like to mention that we haven't asked you about? Anything interesting coming up on Thought Penny that could be useful for our audience?
The biggest takeaway is, if you're struggling with your business and it's because you're swamped and you're overwhelmed, I don't want you to not get a VA because you think, I don't have time to prepare. I don't have time to hand over all of this work, to come up with the procedures for how I like things done. Remember that Zoom is your friend and you can record your Zoom meetings. So you just have to show them once. You can do the job. You can do the work. Bring on your VA. Do it while they're watching you. Record that meeting. And that means that even if this VA doesn't work out, you've recorded how to do it while you're doing it. You've got to do it anyway, so you might as well do it while someone's watching you. Record it and then save that in your cloud storage, whether that's Google Drive or Dropbox. Have a place where you save all of your how-to recordings, so you only have to do them once. And then if, as your team grows, or if your VA has to hand over to someone else and you know the procedure it's changed slightly since when you handed it over. Every time anyone has to hand over anyone in your business, get them to record it and save it to cloud storage, so that it doesn't require two people every time you're bringing on a VA to do that job. Don't let that stop you.
Yeah.
Oh my
Fantastic.
goodness. It's so
Lots
great
to digest.
Lots to digest. So great to have you on the show. I think Rachel and I are going to run away and sort of automate everything. Listen today. Thank you so much for sharing all about your work and Thought Penny. And also, I do love the idea of the lead network for VAs. I think that's really helpful. I mean, Rachel and I are all about sort of supporting each other as writers and our community of writers. So it's lovely to hear you supporting the community of VAs as well. I think that's a great thing. I think there's so many opportunities for our two networks to work together.
Yes, most definitely. I'd love to stay in touch and nerd out over technology some more as well.
Fantastic. So where can people find out about Thought Penny and follow you if they'd like to connect?
Yeah, sure. So website thoughtpenny.com.au. If you're struggling with Thought Penny, thought as in to think, penny as in a coin, or a penny for your thoughts is where it came from. And from there, there'll be links to all my socials in the footer.
Okay, fantastic.
Great. Oh, Fiona, thank you. Thank you so much. It has been just great to have you on the show, and I'm sure we'll be popping up again with you, perhaps on the Rachel's List blog, because I'd love to chat to you about more of the things we've talked about today. But that brings us to the end of the episode today. You'll find the show notes in your podcast app. So head there for a brief summary of the episode and to find out more about Fiona and some of the great things that she's mentioned as well, so that you can get going on finding a VA or improving your systems or automating your systems.
Getting your inbox under control.
getting your zero. Endless.
Fantastic. Okay, great. I've had so much fun. Thanks,
Yes,
guys.
it's been great to have you. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye, everybody. See you next week.